Today on the newscast, Israel is on high alert for a major terror attack out of Gaza, plus Russia to launch an Iranian satellite into space. Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. A major story developing in Israel this week, in southern Israel in particular, where the roads around the Gaza Strip have been closed for the past 3 days because the Israel Defense Forces are very concerned about terror attacks being launched from the Strip, courtesy of the Iranian-backed terror group Palestinian Islamic Jihad. I'll break down why this is all unfolding right now in a minute. Before I do, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We would love to have you join our watchmen and women on the wall, nearly 500,000 for such a time as this. Okay, let's break it down. Where did this all begin, the current high alert? Well, it began earlier this week on Monday, to be precise, when Israeli forces conducted raids in the city of Jenin. Now, that's in the Palestinian-controlled areas of the West Bank. Here in the newscast, we refer to that region as Judea and Samaria. That's what the Bible calls it, so that's what we call it. Nevertheless, the raid took place in Jenin, which has been a terror hotbed for years, and Israel apprehended the West Bank leader of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. His name is Bassam al-Sadi. Now, Islamic Jihad is a Gaza-based terror organization, but like its fellow Gaza terror organization, Hamas, it also has operations in the West Bank or Judea and Samaria. Well, again, its operations chief is now in Israeli custody, Bassam Sadi. On Tuesday, right away, Islamic Jihad was vowing revenge for this Israeli raid, which apprehended Sadi. And on Tuesday, Israel said, you know what? We are very concerned about retaliatory attacks out of Gaza. So for the past 3 days, Israel has shut down the areas, the towns immediately surrounding the Gaza Strip. Hey, as you know, if you watch the newscast and the Watchman TV show on a regular basis, I have spent a lot of time in those beautiful Israeli communities in southern Israel surrounding Gaza. Now many of them right now are effectively shut off. Israel says hopefully not much longer, according to the Israel Defense Forces today, but they're saying, look, in the meantime, we are concerned, number one, about Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket attacks out of Gaza. Secondly, sniper attacks. Islamic Jihad snipers, again, operating out of Gaza, where, folks, listen, these terror organizations are set up very close to the Gaza-Israel border, where Israeli communities are in firing range. So it is a very precarious situation right now. Hamas ultimately controls the Gaza Strip with an iron fist. Is Hamas attempting to restrain Islamic Jihad right now? That's one question. But at the end of the day, they both march to the same drumbeat. They are both Iranian proxies. Key point here. So Islamic Jihad retaliation, folks, and whether that's going to happen, that decision may not ultimately be made in Gaza, but it may be made in Tehran. What do the Iranian masters want Islamic Jihad to do? Now, when it comes to Palestinian Islamic Jihad, overshadowed a bit in Gaza, of course, by Hamas, whereas Hamas is a terror organization committed to Israel's destruction. They also attempt, and not very well, to govern, quote-unquote, Gaza. Palestinian Islamic Jihad has no pretensions about governance. Folks, they exist for one reason and one reason only, for jihad against Israel, as their name implies, and they are a fully owned and operated subsidiary of the Iranian regime. Very precarious position right now, as I said, or situation. Islamic Jihad making very bellicose threats, threatening to hit the center of Israel in retaliation for Bassam Sadi's arrest. So it is a tinderbox right now, how it often is in the Middle East, it seems, and on Israel's borders. So we're keeping a very close eye on what is unfolding right now along the Israel-Gaza border. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, Israel can say, hey, we are in the clear, and kind of open up those roads around Gaza and let those communities, those Israeli communities in southern Israel, operate as usual. But right now, again, it is a very tense situation that we are watching closely. And remember, May 2021 was the last major conflict in Gaza. I was there just a week after that, filming for the Watchman, but that was a situation where you had Hamas launch some 13,000 rockets at every inch of Israel almost, as far north as Tel Aviv and beyond. So we're watching for perhaps another conflict here in Gaza. We hope not, but we're keeping a close eye on it. Hey, as we wrap up here, Russia, who we've been discussing a whole lot, and their activities in the Middle East in particular over the past few weeks, Russia now says that next week it is going to launch an Iranian satellite into space. Now, a few things here to keep in mind. Number one, Vladimir Putin just 2 weeks ago visited Iran and had a very warm and cozy meeting with Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. What was clear is that the Russia-Iran relationship is growing, folks. And an Iranian official even said that Russia is, quote, Iran's #1 strategic partner in the world. So we believe, if you watch a newscast on a regular basis, you know that we believe this is a prophetic alliance that is shaping up between Russia and Iran. And Iran now helping to equip Russia with drones that will be used in Ukraine. And Russia now returning the favor with this satellite launch that is planned for next week of an Iranian satellite. Look, we've been documenting this, how Iran has been attempting for the past few years to launch satellites into space, because that technology is crucial to developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs for short. And those missiles, folks, they do exactly what their name says. They're designed to travel across continents, across oceans, and the ultimate target for those Iranian ICBMs, you guessed it, is the United States. So it's no surprise that U.S. officials are very concerned about these repeated attempts by the Iranian regime to launch satellites into space and then use that technology to develop ICBMs, which you develop for one reason, and one reason only, by the way, to mount them with a nuclear warhead. And that's what Iran is trying to do now. First get the bomb, then mount it on an ICBM. And by the way, quick note as we go regarding Iran's nuclear weapons program, the United States, the European Union, representatives from both are in Vienna today, restarting the Iran nuclear talks with their Iranian counterparts. So I've said it before and I'll say it again today. This is like a vampire or a zombie that will not die, sadly, this Iran nuclear deal, because the West, pathetically, is so desperate to revive it and to appease the Iranian regime. We'll be following that very closely over the next few days as well. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the Watchman Newscast. Hey, God is in control. Keep all of this in your prayer, no doubt. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.